On March 15, 2019, Master Sergeant Victor Stone, a distinguished Delta Force operator with the 1st Special Forces, Operational Detachment Delta, received devastating news while stationed at Bagram Airfield, Afghanistan. His sister Tasha Stone Miller and her husband Michael Miller died in a catastrophic vehicle accident on Route 2 near Lexington, Massachusetts. The incident occurred when a commercial semi-truck lost control on an icy road, forcing the Millers' vehicle off the highway. Both were pronounced dead at the scene by first responders. The tragedy left their 12-year-old daughter, Alice Miller, without parents. Following standard Massachusetts Department of Children and Families protocols, Alice was temporarily placed at a state-approved children's center in Brookline, a prestigious suburb of Boston known for its excellent schools and safe environment. Victor Stone, aged 35, immediately initiated an emergency family hardship discharge from his ongoing deployment. His commanding officer, Colonel David Harrison, expedited the paperwork given Stone's exceptional service record, including 3 Purple Hearts and a Silver Star earned during previous deployments to Afghanistan's Kandahar province. Despite suffering from documented PTSD and a severe leg injury sustained during a 2018 operation in Helmand province, Stone demonstrated unwavering determination to become Alice's legal guardian. Medical records from the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center indicated ongoing physical therapy requirements and recommended psychological counseling, which Stone agreed to pursue as part of his guardianship application. On April 2, 2019, the Suffolk County Probate and Family Court granted Stone temporary guardianship of Alice Miller. The hearing, presided over by Judge Margaret Sullivan, took into consideration Stone's military service, financial stability from his military pension, and the crucial need to maintain family connections for the child's emotional well-being. Stone purchased a 3-bedroom house in the West Roxbury neighborhood of Boston, specifically chosen for its proximity to the local private school, where Alice would continue her education. The property, situated in a quiet residential area with a low crime rate, provided the stability needed for their new life together. The transition wasn't without challenges. Stone's medical records from the Boston VA healthcare system documented recurring nightmares and hypervigilance symptoms typical of combat veterans. However, he maintained strict compliance with his treatment program under the supervision of Dr. James Wilson, demonstrating his commitment to creating a stable environment for Alice. By late April 2019, Stone had established a daily routine that balanced Alice's school schedule with his medical appointments and physical therapy sessions. The West Roxbury Veterans Affairs Medical Center became a regular part of their lives, as Stone worked to address both his physical and psychological wounds while adapting to his new role as Alice's guardian. Department of Children and Families caseworker Janet Thompson conducted weekly visits during the first month, documenting Stone's progress in creating a suitable home environment. Her reports consistently noted the developing bond between uncle and niece, despite the traumatic circumstances that brought them together. By October 2019, 6 months after their initial reunion, Victor Stone had established himself as a self-defense instructor at a reputable martial arts academy in Boston's West Roxbury district. His military expertise and combat experience made him a valuable asset to the academy, where he specialized in teaching advanced protection techniques to law enforcement personnel and private security contractors. Alice Miller, now 13, demonstrated remarkable resilience in her academic performance at her new school. Her teachers reported consistent A-grade achievements across most subjects, with particular excellence in mathematics and sciences. The school counselor noted that, while Alice still processed her grief, she had successfully integrated into the school community and developed several close friendships. However, Stone's adaptation to civilian life presented ongoing challenges. During a self-defense class in November 2019, he experienced a severe flashback triggered by the sound of construction work near the academy. The incident resulted in Stone momentarily losing control during a demonstration, causing him to apply excessive force to a training partner. Though no serious injuries occurred, the event necessitated an immediate review of his teaching protocols and additional psychological evaluation. The Department of Veterans Affairs medical staff documented increasing instances of hypervigilance in Stone's behavior. Security camera footage from various locations revealed his constant tactical assessment of surroundings, positioning himself with clear views of exits and exhibiting startled responses to sudden movements or loud noises. These behaviors, while manageable in controlled environments, became problematic in public spaces. Despite these challenges, Stone maintained strict adherence to his therapy schedule at the VA Medical Center. His treating psychiatrist, Dr. Michael Anderson, noted that Stone's commitment to Alice's well-being served as a powerful motivator for his continued psychological recovery. The doctor's reports highlighted how Stone channeled his protective instincts into constructive parenting strategies, teaching Alice practical safety awareness without imposing his combat-induced paranoia. In December 2019, an incident at a local supermarket highlighted both Stone's ongoing struggles and his progress in managing them. When a shoplifter aggressively pushed past Alice, Stone's initial reaction was to engage with lethal force. However, witness statements confirmed that he successfully restrained himself, instead using minimal force to detain the individual until law enforcement arrived. Alice's influence on Stone's recovery became increasingly evident. School records showed her consistent attendance at morning classes allowed Stone to maintain a regular sleep schedule, helping to manage his insomnia. The structured routine of school meetings, homework supervision, and daily meals provided stability that complemented his therapeutic program. By January 2020, Stone had expanded his teaching curriculum to include youth self-defense classes, with Alice often assisting as a demonstrator. This father-daughter dynamic in the classroom setting helped normalize their relationship in the community's eyes. Local law enforcement officials who trained with Stone noted his exceptional ability to adapt military techniques for civilian application, while maintaining appropriate force levels. The VA's quarterly assessment in early 2020 showed marked improvement in Stone's PTSD symptoms, though certain triggers remained problematic. His hypervigilance, while reduced, continued to manifest in public spaces. The medical team noted that Stone's awareness of these issues and his proactive approach to managing them represented significant progress in his civilian reintegration. On February 12, 2020, during a school field trip to the Museum of Science in Boston, the Karpov criminal syndicate executed a carefully planned abduction of Alice Miller. The organization, acting on fraudulent intelligence, suggesting Alice had inherited a substantial trust fund, deployed a team of 6 operatives to intercept the school group. At 2:15 p.m., Victor Stone, who had volunteered as a parent chaperone due to his persistent security concerns, observed suspicious movement patterns among several Eastern European men near the museum's east entrance. Drawing from his Delta Force training, Stone immediately recognized their tactical positioning and initiated emergency protocols, instructing teachers to move students toward secure areas. The confrontation began when 3 operatives attempted to isolate Alice from her classmates. Stone engaged the first 2 assailants, neutralizing them with precise hand-to-hand combat techniques. However, the remaining 4 attackers converged simultaneously. Security camera footage later revealed Stone's exceptional combat performance despite being severely outnumbered. During the altercation, Stone sustained multiple critical injuries, including a severe head trauma and 3 gunshot wounds, 2 to the chest and 1 to the left thigh. The final assailant struck Stone with a blunt object, rendering him unconscious. Emergency services arrived at 2:27 p.m., summoned by museum security. Stone was transported to Massachusetts General Hospital in critical condition. Surgical teams, led by Dr. Sarah Winters, performed emergency surgery to address internal bleeding and extract the bullet from his thigh. Medical records documented severe concussion, 3 broken ribs, and extensive internal bruising. The Boston Police Department's initial investigation revealed the kidnappers used a modified black panel van with cloned plates. Traffic cameras tracked the vehicle heading toward the industrial district before losing visual contact. Detective James Morrison, leading the investigation, noted the professional nature of the operation suggested extensive planning and local support infrastructure. While unconscious, Stone was placed under protective custody due to concerns about follow-up attacks. The FBI's Organized Crime Unit, under Special Agent Marcus Thompson, took lead on the case after confirming the Karpov syndicate's involvement through surveillance footage analysis and informant networks. Stone regained consciousness 36 hours after the incident. Medical staff documented his immediate attempt to leave the hospital despite his severe injuries. Dr. Winters noted his extraordinary pain tolerance and rapid physical recovery, attributing it to his military conditioning. However, psychological evaluation revealed severe trauma response, with Stone exhibiting intense guilt and anger over his perceived failure to protect Alice. The Department of Veterans Affairs Crisis Intervention Team was called in to manage Stone's psychological state. His treating psychiatrist documented clear signs of regression in PTSD recovery, noting that the kidnapping had reactivated combat trauma responses. Stone's medical records showed elevated stress markers and sleep deprivation, compounded by his determination to begin immediate recovery. FBI briefings revealed that the Karpov syndicate, previously focused on arms trafficking and protection rackets, had expanded into high-value kidnapping operations. Their intelligence suggested Alice was being held within the greater Boston area, likely in one of the syndicate's warehouse facilities. However, the organization's sophisticated counter-surveillance measures complicated rescue efforts. Stone's military contacts began mobilizing support networks while he remained under medical care. His former commanding officer, Colonel Harrison, initiated discreet inquiries through intelligence channels, while local veteran groups established surveillance points around suspected syndicate locations. By February 15, despite medical advice, Stone began planning his response to the kidnapping. Hospital security logs recorded multiple attempts to leave against medical advice, requiring intervention from both medical staff and law enforcement. The FBI maintained a protective detail, concerned that Stone's unstable condition and combat training made him both a liability and a crucial asset in the developing situation. On February 17, 2020, against medical advice, Victor Stone discharged himself from Massachusetts General Hospital. Within hours, he activated a dormant network of former Delta Force operators, establishing a covert operations center in an abandoned industrial facility in South Boston. Former Staff Sergeant Marcus Walsh, who served with Stone in Kandahar, arrived first with tactical equipment. Walsh's surveillance team identified 3 potential Karpov syndicate safe houses through pattern analysis of local criminal activities. By February 18, 4 more former operators joined Stone's makeshift task force. The first strike occurred at 0200 hours on February 19. Stone's team breached a suspected syndicate location in the industrial district. Security cameras captured Stone eliminating 3 armed guards with military precision. The facility contained evidence of recent criminal activity, but no sign of Alice. 2 syndicate members were found dead, displaying signs of advanced interrogation techniques consistent with military counterterrorism protocols. Local law enforcement responded to reports of gunfire, but Stone's team had already relocated. Detective Morrison's report noted the surgical precision of the operation, with no collateral damage to surrounding structures. Forensics teams recovered multiple 5.56 mm shell casings and evidence of close-quarter combat. On February 21, Stone conducted simultaneous raids on 2 more locations. The FBI's incident report documented 7 syndicate casualties. Stone's psychological state during these operations showed a complete regression to combat behavior patterns. Surveillance footage revealed methodical room-clearing procedures and the systematic elimination of armed resistance. Dr. Anderson, monitoring the situation through VA channels, noted Stone's behavior exhibited classic signs of dissociative combat response. His actions demonstrated a complete abandonment of civilian restraint protocols, reverting to maximum force engagement, typical of special operations in hostile territory. By February 23, Stone's campaign had disrupted major syndicate operations across Boston. His team intercepted a weapons shipment, converting the seized arsenal for their use. The operation left 4 more syndicate members dead and resulted in the destruction of a major drug storage facility. FBI analysis indicated Stone's methods reflected advanced military training combined with extreme psychological trauma. Each engagement showed escalating levels of violence, with Stone systematically dismantling the syndicate's infrastructure. Witness reports described him moving with mechanical efficiency, showing no hesitation or emotion during engagements. Stone's former commanding officer, Colonel Harrison, attempted to intervene after reports of extreme interrogation methods emerged. Harrison's assessment concluded that Stone had fully reverted to his most aggressive combat protocols, treating Boston's criminal underground as a war zone. Local veteran support networks reported Stone's complete withdrawal from therapeutic programs. His actions demonstrated textbook symptoms of combat dissociation, treating every engagement as a high-stakes military operation. Medical professionals noted this regression represented a severe deterioration of his PTSD recovery. The violence escalated when Stone's team assaulted a syndicate-controlled nightclub on February 25th. The operation resulted in 12 casualties and extensive property damage. Surveillance footage showed Stone moving through the facility with the same tactical precision he employed in Afghanistan, treating civilian areas as combat zones. Law enforcement agencies struggled to contain the situation, recognizing that traditional intervention methods would likely result in significant casualties. Special Agent Thompson's report acknowledged that Stone's military training made him virtually unstoppable in urban combat scenarios. By month's end, Stone's systematic dismantling of syndicate operations had left a clear message. He would not stop until he recovered Alice. His actions demonstrated complete disregard for legal boundaries or civilian protocols, operating with the single-minded focus of a special operations mission. By March 1, 2020, Victor Stone's methodical hunt for the Karpov syndicate entered a new phase. Intelligence gathered from interrogated syndicate members revealed a hierarchical structure leading to 3 key lieutenants controlling Boston's criminal operations. Stone's first high-value target, Mikhail Petrov, was located in a fortified penthouse. On March 3, surveillance footage captured Stone infiltrating the building's security system with military precision. The subsequent operation resulted in 7 casualties, including Petrov's entire security detail. FBI reports documented evidence of advanced interrogation techniques before Petrov's death. The second lieutenant, Dmitry Volkov, attempted to flee Boston upon learning of Petrov's fate. Stone intercepted Volkov's convoy on March 7, utilizing tactics reminiscent of Afghanistan combat operations. The engagement left 4 vehicles destroyed and 6 syndicate members dead. Volkov's interrogation provided crucial information about the syndicate's command structure. Local law enforcement documented Stone's escalating disregard for jurisdictional boundaries. His operations expanded beyond Boston, tracking syndicate movements through Massachusetts. Detective Morrison's reports noted the systematic elimination of syndicate safe houses, with each raid demonstrating increased tactical aggression. On March 10, Stone's team assaulted a syndicate money laundering operation. The attack revealed Stone's complete abandonment of non-lethal engagement protocols. Security footage showed him eliminating armed resistance with extreme prejudice, his movements reflecting pure military efficiency without civilian restraint. The third lieutenant, Viktor Zakhanov, proved more elusive. Stone's pursuit led to a confrontation at a syndicate-controlled storage facility on March 15. The operation resulted in unprecedented violence, with 14 casualties and significant structural damage. Forensic evidence indicated Stone's use of military-grade explosives and advanced combat techniques. By March 20, Stone's campaign had effectively decimated the syndicate's Boston operations. His systematic elimination of key personnel and infrastructure demonstrated textbook Special Forces methodology, treating each engagement as a counter-terrorism operation. Colonel Harrison's intervention attempts failed as Stone refused all communication not directly related to tactical intelligence. Surveillance indicated he operated on a pure combat footing, maintaining military sleep and engagement patterns consistent with extended special operations. The psychological toll became evident in Stone's operational patterns. He displayed increasing risk tolerance, engaging multiple hostile targets simultaneously without regard for personal safety. His former teammates reported behavior consistent with severe combat stress, noting his complete emotional detachment during operations. Law enforcement agencies documented the expanding collateral impact of Stone's campaign. His operations disrupted legitimate businesses connected to syndicate activities, causing significant economic damage. The FBI's Organized Crime Division noted the power vacuum created by his systematic elimination of syndicate leadership. By late March, Stone's relentless pursuit had forced the remaining syndicate elements into increasingly desperate positions. His tactical superiority and willingness to employ extreme measures left them with diminishing options for maintaining their criminal operations. Stone's final assault on a suspected syndicate command center demonstrated the culmination of his psychological transformation. Security footage revealed him moving through the facility with mechanical precision, his actions reflecting pure military training without any civilian restraint. The operation's aftermath revealed the extensive toll of Stone's campaign. Local authorities documented over 40 syndicate casualties across multiple locations, with property damage extending into millions of dollars. On March 30, 2020, Victor Stone's 6-week campaign culminated in a massive assault on Boston's waterfront district. Intelligence indicated Alice Miller was being held in a warehouse complex under direct control of syndicate leader Ivan Karpov. The ensuing operation would become one of the most violent civilian engagements in Boston's recent history. At 0300 hours, Stone initiated his final assault. Security footage documented his systematic elimination of 23 armed syndicate members. The operation demonstrated unprecedented levels of violence, with Stone employing military-grade explosives and advanced combat techniques typically reserved for warfare zones. Alice Miller was recovered at 0445 hours, physically unharmed but severely traumatized after witnessing Stone's methodical elimination of her captors. Medical reports indicated she remained conscious throughout the operation, exposed to extreme levels of violence that exceeded standard military engagement protocols. Federal authorities arrested Stone at the scene. The subsequent investigation revealed the full scope of his 6-week campaign. 78 confirmed syndicate casualties, 17 destroyed facilities, and property damage exceeding $30 million. Law enforcement documented evidence of severe interrogation methods and systematic execution of surrendering suspects. The trial began on September 15, 2020. The prosecution presented extensive evidence of Stone's methodical dismantling of the Karpov syndicate, characterizing his actions as premeditated execution rather than necessary force. Surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and witness testimonies painted a picture of military precision applied to civilian targets without legal justification. Stone's defense team, led by prominent attorney Michael Richardson, presented testimonies from his former Delta Force commanders. Colonel Harrison detailed Stone's exemplary military service, including operations that saved numerous civilian lives in Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Walsh testified about Stone's previous restraint in combat situations and his dedication to protecting innocent lives. Alice Miller's emotional testimony on October 2 described her uncle's transformation from protective guardian to ruthless warrior. Her account of the final rescue operation revealed Stone's complete psychological dissociation, describing him as a different person, who showed no hesitation or emotion while eliminating her captors. Dr. Anderson presented expert testimony about Stone's severe PTSD and the psychological impact of Alice's kidnapping, explaining how the trauma triggered a complete reversion to combat behavior. However, the prosecution successfully argued that Stone's military training and experience should have enabled him to maintain better judgment. The jury deliberated for 3 days before delivering their verdict on October 12, 2020. Stone was found guilty of multiple counts of first-degree murder, excessive force resulting in death, and destruction of property. The court rejected arguments about diminished capacity due to PTSD, citing Stone's calculated methodology throughout his campaign. Judge William Matthews delivered the sentence on October 15. 25 years in federal prison without possibility of parole for 20 years. His statement acknowledged Stone's military service, but emphasized that his actions represented a dangerous precedent of military force being applied in civilian law enforcement matters. During the final visitation before his transfer to federal prison, Alice promised to wait for her uncle's release. Stone's only recorded statement about his actions came during this meeting. "Every life I took was worth your safety. I'd do it all again." Prison intake documentation noted his complete acceptance of the consequences, displaying no remorse for his actions. Alice Miller, now under the guardianship of her maternal grandparents, maintains regular contact with her uncle through supervised visits. Her school counselors report ongoing therapy sessions to address the trauma of both her kidnapping and witnessing her uncle's violent campaign for her rescue.